Have you ever looked at your bank account and just felt like you're trying to push a giant boulder uphill in the mud? If building any kind of wealth feels almost impossible, you are not alone. And I promise, you are not imagining it. There are very real reasons for that struggle.
So why is it so tough? Well, it turns out there's a mathematical reason and a psychological reason why saving that first big chunk of money feels like this monumental task, while the rich just seem to get richer without even lifting a finger.
You've probably heard this phrase before, right? The first 100,000 is the hardest. But this isn't just some nice quote to post online. No, this is a statement that is backed by real financial science, and understanding it is absolutely the key to changing your own financial story.
Okay, so here's a great way to think about it. Building wealth is kind of like a video game. Getting to your first $100,000, you're playing on expert mode, probably with a controller that has a bit of a lag. But once you hit that number, bam, you've suddenly unlocked easy mode, maybe even a few cheat codes. The entire game changes.
All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to cover the brutal math behind that slow start, then the psychology trap that keeps so many of us stuck, then the admittedly boring path to success, and finally, the really cool part, the incredible acceleration effect that kicks in once you break through.
Okay, so let's dive right into section 1 and talk numbers. The reason the beginning feels so painfully slow is because, mathematically, it is slow. Your first dollars are out there all by themselves. They're kind of lonely.
We can call this the manual labor phase. Seriously, when you're starting from zero, every single dollar you save has to come directly from your paycheck, from your hard work. Compound interest is still asleep at the wheel. It is all on you. You're doing all the heavy lifting.
And this, right here, this shows you the problem perfectly. Let's say you invest $5,000 and you get a fantastic 10% return. That's $500, which is nice, but it's not going to change your life, is it? It's so easy to look at that and think, ugh, is this even worth it? And honestly, a lot of people give up right there. But now look at the difference when you have $100,000. That same 10% return now gives you $10,000.
And that $10,000 number, that's the game changer. That is a significant amount of money. It's like a whole second income stream that you didn't have to clock in for. This is the turning point where your little army of dollars finally starts fighting for you 24/7.
But the math is only half the battle, so let's move on, because the other, and I'd argue harder part of this fight, well, it takes place right between your ears. Our own brains can be our absolute worst financial enemies.
And here's the big one, the lifestyle trap. It's sneaky. As our income goes up, our spending just magically rises to meet it. Or, let's be real, sometimes it exceeds it. It's this cycle of what feel like small decisions that just compound over time, making it nearly impossible to get ahead, no matter how much you earn.
I mean, just look at these common leaks. We've all been there, right? A few too many streaming services, ordering takeout a little too often, that new car payment. Each one feels pretty small in the moment, but when you add them all up, they're like drilling bigger and bigger holes in the bottom of your financial pool.
And as you start to plug those leaks and get serious, you're going to face some social pressure. People, often with the best intentions, will hit you with this line. But here's the secret. This is almost always said by people who don't have any money. They just don't understand the freedom and the security that comes with it.
So how do you actually fight back against the math and the psychology? Well, the answer isn't some secret stock tip or get-rich-quick scheme. The truth is, the path to your first 100K is paved with, well, boring, unsexy, but incredibly effective decisions.
It really just comes down to 3 simple things. First, you've got to track your spending with brutal honesty. You just can't fix what you can't see. Second, you have to identify and cut the mindless habits. The spending that doesn't actually bring you any real joy. And third, you've got to focus on growing that gap by increasing your income.
Look, we all face choices like these every single day. The exciting, irrational choice, it gives you that instant gratification. The boring, rational choice, that's what buys you future freedom. The people who get ahead are just the ones who consistently choose the boring option and then invest the difference.
And the math itself is actually pretty simple. If you can manage to save and invest $2,000 a month at a reasonable 8% return, you will cross that $100,000 mark in less than 4 years. The hard part isn't some complex formula. It's just the simple daily discipline.
All right, now for the really exciting part. Once you have pushed that boulder all the way to the top of the hill, everything changes. Let's talk about the incredible acceleration that happens after you finally hit that first major milestone.
This is something we can call wealth momentum. It's this powerful positive feedback loop. See, having capital gives you a cushion, which gives you confidence, which lets you take on bigger opportunities, which, of course, generates even more capital. Success just starts to breed more success.
And all of a sudden, doors that were totally locked to you before just swing wide open. You can jump on a great real estate deal that has a short deadline. You can finally afford to exercise those valuable stock options from work. Your risk tolerance goes way up because a market dip no longer threatens your ability to pay rent. I mean, just look at the shift in your thinking. The entire concept of opportunity cost transforms. You go from making these stressful survival decisions to making strategic wealth-building decisions. It's a completely different conversation you're having with yourself.
And honestly, this might be the most important point of all. The journey to 100 grand doesn't just change your bank account. It changes you. The habits, the discipline, the delayed gratification, they become part of who you are. You fundamentally rewire your entire relationship with money.
So if you're looking at your account balance right now and you're feeling discouraged, please remember this. The struggle is temporary. Your situation is not a life sentence. Every single financially free person out there started with more dreams than dollars.
In the end, it really all comes down to this. The knowledge is out there. The opportunities exist. And as we've just seen, the math is ultimately on your side. So the only real question left is, are you going to do it? Your future self is really counting on you.